Facebook.
Nice. Right. I'll look up one of them.
Hello everybody, Leafy Concern here, gonna do an interesting new video. We got a guest today, my friend Ben, and we've got some things out here on his table which we're gonna go through and talk about. And these are recent, Ben, these are recent acquisitions of yours? Largely recent acquisitions, but just some things to show today. And but before that, a bit of this kefir process.
This is just the daily batch. This this filter, I don't know if you can really call it a colander, strainer. This strainer is just because like each aperture is big but not too big, but the overall space in which there's apertures is small. Like if this whole thing were mesh, this stuff would be spraying everywhere.
Oh, beautiful.
See, and then this is the grains. We'll go back in. And the rest I will either discard or give away.
To clarify, we are at my friend Ben's in Chicago, and that's where we're filming this video. I gave a little intro just now, and then I showed a little bit of Ben's kefir process.
They didn't open it for many years, and they opened it, and they realized that they had this trove of letters from like an old communist writing. It was only one side of the correspondence, but it was an old communist and a woman in a hospital recovering from tuberculosis or something like that.
Ooh.
And then only recently did they use the letters as the basis for this new play.
I want to read
Which
it.
was published in
So let's start over here, over with this stack over here that says that has The Silent Woman about Sylvia Plath and Ted Hughes by Janet Malcolm.
So yesterday we did the meeting of the Lives of the Poets, which it wasn't a very formal or well-organized meeting. We did it like a year ago, the first meeting of Lives of the Poets.
Mm-hmm.
We read Johnson's Life of Savage, which was so funny. Yeah, you guys were there for that.
Oh, I was there for that.
The Bell Jar, and to read The Silent Woman. But it turns out The Silent Woman, like the text that she comments on mostly is Ariel, not the Bell Jar, even though, I mean, the Bell Jar and Ariel they're both easily considered, obviously considered to have pretty significant autobiographical elements.
Mm-hmm.
And The Silent Woman is about how Plath was treated by all of her biographers.
Yes. So it's about the question of writing a biography, the question about
writing about a writer
who
writing about
has
a woman who has
significant
died.
autobiographical stuff. Yeah, when they've died, when people feel like their life and death has sort of become public literary property.
Yeah, basically like when you kind of feel like the person in all their nuances is like is threatening to become smaller than this, these.
And where they have survivors.
Yeah, okay.
Who are also like embroiled in the literary. And I mean, people, like, that's the thing in The Silent Woman is people feel empowered to say stuff about Ted Hughes and about Sylvia Plath's personal life based on having read her poetry and read certain biographical things.
I always love that part.
I did think that The Silent Woman could have had a bit stronger dose of, like, feminism. I mean, obviously, I'm no one to opine on Janet Malcolm's feminist credentials, but as she admits in there, she kind of sympathizes with Ted Hughes and that biographer Anne Stevenson who wrote Bitter Fame.
As far as I understand it, that's a very unpopular position to basically sympathize with Ted Hughes at all. I feel like most of my friends prefer to kind of dismiss and just be like, let's just get some Sylvia Plath raw material, like for instance this facsimile here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
I've
just
never
work with
read
that.
anything by Ted Hughes.
Yeah, I read a couple poems from The Hawk and the Rain. I'm interested in reading The Crow. I'm more interested in Plath, even just as a writer. But I mean, like, it's obvious where the feminist and popular attachments to Plath and the antipathy toward Hughes come from, and I get what Malcolm is saying and doing with the whole, Hughes's life is now being you know, it's like out of his hands in a way that none of us would really like. But I don't know. Like I got a lot of the hemming and hawing.
Yeah, this one.
For Malcolm as a journalist, but as kind of just citizens of the literary republic, I feel like there's other considerations to take into account. So yeah, I did go and read a lot of these Ariel poems. So this copy of the Bell Jar and this copy of
This
Ariel,
is the same copy I have, by the way.
they're both
Both
Harper
from Harper Perennial Modern
Perennial.
Classics.
So they both have end matter.
Nice.
They both have like sort of typical front and end matter, and they also have like a
That other back matter
the
where it's like
goofy, like question and answer about
You know,
the author stuff.
that's
And they're
interesting.
books. They're books that were available to me as a teenage girl in the suburbs at Books A Million.
yeah.
And I think that you can kind of see the sort of qualities of, with this one, it's almost like a movie poster for like a girl who listens to indie music. Like as you can imagine me as a 16-year-old like picking this up off the shelf and being like, oh yeah, I've got to read this. But it's also this like PS section is
That's
a
the
little
section.
pandery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it-
White
with the pink, with the
pandering.
pink.
Yeah, what is
Yeah.
in
Crossing
this
the water.
PS
Like-
section
Well, this
here?
was remarkable.
This is so strange.
the
This is
bi-
straight out of the mid-2010s.
The
right here.
biographical capsule they put
Have
on
you
Plath.
heard?
In the back in this somewhere near where your finger is? Yeah, there's the biographical Meet Sylvia Plath where
Look at that biography.
it's not the conventional Sylvia Plath biography. It's bizarrely toned down.
Wow.
Oh wow, that's cool. Oh, that's that. I mean,
It's
that
all of
sounds
her
kind of like
achievements.
something that Janet Malcolm might be, might not find displeasing.
Yeah, maybe she would say this is how we should meet Sylvia Plath.
How we should.
Perhaps.
I always thought it was interesting how they do these back matter things where they do like class discussion questions,
Yeah.
and there'll be for books where I'm just like, what kind of class you reading this in? You know what I mean? Where
Interestingly,
You know?
the Ariel one, often, yeah, this stuff in the back is like kind of take it or leave it. But in Ariel, it actually had a Q&A with Frida Hughes and an original poem by Frida Hughes about Sylvia Plath's daughter, about Sylvia Plath, where it was like a version
Look
of.
at that edition.
It was a,
I have that.
it was a version
In
of it
paperback.
was like a riff on Lady Lazarus by Frida in the back of this, where it's like instead of like 1 year in 10 I do it, it's like you did it 1 year in 10, but
Here we are.
like they do it every day to you, they kill you again.
Whoa, that's.
I think she
It's
rhymes
called My
10
Mother.
again, right?
Yeah. They're killing her again. She said she did it 1 year in every 10.
Yeah, there you go.
But they do it annually or weekly. Some even do it daily, carrying her death around in their heads and practicing it. She
Oh,
saves
goodness.
them the trouble of their own. They can die through her without ever making the decision. My buried mother is dug up for repeat performances.
Gets pretty literal. The exciting thing that was in this book, in addition to the facsimile of the typescript and the edits and stuff, is it has a transcript of her BBC Radio 1962 comments on each of the poems, which are also these like amazingly controlled little third-person statements.
It's crazy. This poem was written for a BBC, like in response to a BBC biopic, which was going to star Gwyneth
Oh my
Paltrow
God.
as Sylvia Plath.
Paltrow's tall, right? Gwyneth's tall.
Yeah.
Is she?
She could do it.
I mean, most movie
She's
stars
tall.
are
Was
tall,
Sylvia Plath
right?
tall, or is that something
Yeah. She was
biographical that I
tall.
shouldn't
It
know?
comes up in The Silent Woman a lot that she and Ted Hughes were both tall.
Oh, interesting.
And
Broad.
this guy, Richard Sassoon, was small.
What does Sassoon have to do? What's
he
Sassoon's
was
deal?
someone she had a crush
That's
on
cool.
and like an involvement with that appears in her journals a lot right before she meets Ted Hughes. So here's this is the appendix 2, which is her comments on her poems when she read them.
Can I take a look at
on
this?
the BBC. Like, this is her own description of Daddy in the third person on this, like, the speaker has an electric complex.
Wow. It's really neat. It's like, well, no, it's not. I mean,
I feel like there was an era
Very
of time
possibly.
where people said a blank complex.
Yeah.
A lot.
an electric
Yeah.
complex.
A lot
Was
more
the
than they
high-
do
I like
now.
this one where it says like, "It is December. It is foggy. In the fog there are sheep." That's like a very poet, thing to do.
Mhm.
Exactly.
You know, I was talking with about my friend Graham's paintings yesterday, and I said I asked him like to try to contribute to the discussion. Like, do you have your settings in mind when you make your paintings? And then I realized, I bet the concept of setting is probably too like some kind of basic thing that, you know. You know, he'd be like, don't approach with the concept of settings. What the heck? So I just wanted to say about this. This is the kind I have. But the kind I have is in a smaller copy. And it looks the exact same. And I read this in Chicago. Like on the river. I would take this to those bleachers by the river, you know, downtown.
Yeah.
And that's where I'd read this thing.
Did you like the Colossus?
I like the Colossus very much. It was inspiring.
It gets a bad rap compared to Ariel.
Really? Where have you heard that from?
In The Silent Woman, people say it's not fully realized.
It's not like as sophisticated and mature
and crazy
as Ariel.
The Silent Woman.
With that line there.
Did you buy this copy of the Colossus? The Silent Woman, that's Katie's copy, and we've kind of water damaged it.
Yeah. No, it was water damaged.
Well, you know,
the
reading is reading. You got to do your reading no matter how humid it is.
This is a copy that a friend of mine was in a class called Writing Women's Lives, and it was a seminar taught by Susan Faludi. And this is one of the books that she taught. And my friend was like, you have to read this. And so she lent this to me, but she was like, I need to have this back because it's from the special.
There's a bunch.
That was many years ago.
There's a
I
bunch
need to
of
give it
different.
back. Katie, I'm going to give it back to you ASAP.
For a book that came out in
You heard
the
it here
90s,
first.
For a book that came out in the 90s, there's a bunch of editions of The Silent Woman and a bunch of different covers. Like, there's the one that has, like, I think it's a De Chirico or something with, like, two people kissing with, like, a veil over their faces, like a surrealist painting.
Is it? Yeah, I think that's Magritte.
Magritte, yeah. Yeah, that makes more sense. It's got a Magritte on
Oh,
the
they're
cover.
kissing through the sheet?
Yeah, and there's one that actually has a picture of just Hughes, or of probably Plath. That's a different Silent Woman. Yeah, see, there's one that actually has a picture of the happy couple.
Oh my gosh.
And then there's...
That looks like a bootleg. This is lovely.
That's cool, like
That is a
very
nice
Penguin
one,
classics, yeah.
That looks like the edition they did the from the Finland station or to the Finland station.
I haven't seen the Magritte one yet, but it exists.
There's another...
Yeah, so a Granta edition. Maybe it's in a weird
just go
copyright
Nice.
situation because
Yeah.
it appeared in the New Yorker before she published it as a book. But this edition we have, the vintage edition, has an afterword to the vintage edition. Like it has a little heading, afterword to the vintage edition, where it has a stunning twist on one of the claims and interactions that she has in the book.
Really?
Yeah. It's like the last word of the whole edition is like a stunning twist.
Oh, goodness.
That changes how something else went down. So maybe you should get the vintage edition, even though all these other editions.
Because it has that last chapter.
Yeah.
I want...
Wait, can you start over there?
In this afterword that we're discussing, one of the things they talk about is a sort of like crazy twist and turn of copyright law regarding Plath's work.
Oh, it was someone's and then it became someone else's.
Well, I kind of wanted to save this twist for your viewers to read when they read this.
Sounds good. Good enough.
But
That's good enough for us. That's good enough for the Leafy concerned.
It's a good little like
Leafily concerned
Victorian, little legal plot twist that changes some big emotional thing. Yeah, so that's the Plath books that we got on deck for the little group we did yesterday.
C'est magnifique.
Magnifique.
And for those of you who are just sort of skipping through the video and have skipped to this point, we are in Chicago at my friend Ben's, and we are discussing some recent books. And we've begun with a discussion of these kind of Sylvia Plath books.
I've got recent free book box acquisitions.
Free book box, books for birthday, and a Roscoe Mitchell.
Or I guess so this top book on it isn't by Roscoe Mitchell. It's just when I went to an opening at Corbett versus Dempsey, where this is the program for the music they played. This is the catalog that I bought actually the next day when I saw Roscoe talk
At the
about
Seminary
at the
Co-op
bookstore.
bookstore.
Talked.
Goat Bookstore.
Yeah.
Goat bookstore. This was cool, by the way. I perused this earlier, and I was just like, art books are the best.
Yeah.
They're just they're so essential. And I had no idea that Roscoe did this much. One thing I did is I looked in and I was looking at I jumped straight to the album art because I just I love compilations of album art, obviously. And then I was like, oh wow, there's just like one album from 1970 and there's one from the 80s and then
the third generation, right?
Yeah, of the association.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
Creative
into
musicians.
into the third generation, exactly.
So this is an edition of 1,000. It's accompanying an exhibition of Roscoe Mitchell's paintings,
which is open. You can go see it.
Stuff.
in
They
Chicago.
have some video art too at Curated versus Dempsey. Almost all of these works of art are from like the past 5 years, right? There's like at the first like 6 pages of this book.
We're still in 2022, right?
Yeah, there's
here.
some like paintings he did
COVID
in the 60s
love
at the
that
beginning of this book, and then it like jumps ahead to he's just been painting like crazy.
It seems like recently there's an explosion.
Yeah, he's been painting like crazy. I think during COVID, that's just what he does. Is he says he gets up at like 4 a.m. and like hangs out, makes
This is
coffee, listens to
titled
the radio, and
COVID-19 alert.
Yep. The coolest ones I thought were the ones where he puts together multiple panels of canvas in one frame.
Mm-hmm.
Something about that effect. I think that this is
Like
so,
this kind of thing.
Here, there's like actually, I think like you would notice a seam if you went in person. This is like 3 canvas panels, creates kind of a triptych effect in a frame. But then he's some of his figures are like breaking over those boundaries. I think that's a pretty cool technique. Adds to the sort of presence of.
And is that
of
board
these
or something?
pieces.
That's wood. That's just
It's
a wood
yeah,
frame.
it's a simple wood frame with a nice color, and then it holds these multiple panels of canvas.
And
in it.
this is an exhibition you went to?
Yeah, I went with Christian and
He
Josh,
went to the
who
opening.
was just here actually. And at the opening, they played this amazing improvisation with the current version of what's it called? The Sight and Soul Ensemble, the Time and Soul. I can't remember. Not Soul, Space. The Space Ensemble.
The Space Ensemble.
Right, which had
There
Gerald
he is.
Oshita in it once upon a time, who has passed away, and this version of it was Roscoe Mitchell, Thomas Buckner doing some very unique
I saw these.
vocal improvisations, and it's a very unique multi-instrumentalist.
Wait, is this signed?
Playing some instruments you've
Whoa.
never, some instruments you've never
It's just
heard
sinking
of.
in. It's signed, a signature.
Yep.
That's your thumbnail right there.
There you go. Roscoe Mitchell has great outfits.
Roscoe Mitchell. And then what did you learn about Scott Robinson?
He played a whole bunch of reed instruments. He played a saxophone that had like a sort of penny whistle slide built into it instead of finger holes.
Okay.
Getting kind of a little trombone effect. And Roscoe Mitchell was just doing percussion.
I love this.
He had this percussion setup that I can't even describe. It like looked like a junkyard that he was just standing in the middle of. The thing that stood out the most,
Sopranino.
well, many things stood out. It was an intense performance, but there were a couple moments of really delightful humor that Roscoe Mitchell introduced into it, which I think is one of those classic art ensemble legacies. And that's just an old Images
Love that one.
show
Yeah.
they did there. That
I was fascinated by that one as well.
after I saw Corbett talking,
This kind of reminded me of your thing, Kit. This
I
kind of
wanted
reminded me
to
of
order some of his other
your figures,
Stuff
you know,
that they've
like
done.
with
So I
those
went on their
outlines.
site. And I ordered this, and I ordered I don't know if it's over here. I don't know what I did with it. I got
And
it.
where did you get this thing?
That's from the same gallery.
It's from the
Same
gallery, who he also publishes. So I was looking for his book. It's called Listener's Guide to Free Improvisation, but it's out of print. So we went on his website to order some of his books about music. And I found one called like In the Other Groove or something. I mean, you could go by this gallery on the way out of town, see the paintings if you want.
Radical.
Yeah. So we're talking about the birthday books.
Yeah.
Julia got me this one. She actually
Oh my
pulled
gosh.
out she walked in here, she pulled out 2 books and said I got to pick between 2 New Directions books. This one.
Now, Leafy viewers will recognize this book. I should have mentioned it a lot by now. I mentioned it like when I made an overview of all my Nabokov books that I have. Nabokov. This one I have in a bigger copy, and the cover started coming off, so I taped it back on, and it all looks like this, you know. And it's one of those New Directions ones that they got of Nabokov's from 1940. Oh wow, 1961. My mother was a wee tot. This book is so good. And I remember that I read it. We read it with like
Ooh.
4 years ago or something.
Ooh.
What is that?
What is going on
a
here?
book plate or a check or a
It's
call? A call
Last copy sold. So I think that
Huh.
back in the analog days, if you were at a bookstore and this was at the bottom of the stack, if someone came to buy this one, then the bookseller would fill out this slip saying last copy sold, so they needed to reorder.
Fascinating.
Wow.
That is so cool.
I've
That's a
never seen
great
that
piece
before.
of ephemera.
I've never seen that before.
Happy birthday.
Wow.
Wow, Leafy Concern debut.
Of a last
I don't know
copy
if Julia
sold
knew that
slip.
was in there when she gave this to me. She
Yeah.
said she gave me a choice. I picked this. She gave me the choice between this and Javier de Maistre, who's apparently the brother of the famous reactionary thinker Joseph de Maistre, and it looked kind of cool. Like the cover had this kind of circular design with just the some of the title and author information in red typeface, and it looked like one of those, what's it called, like that label, like Rogue Music or whatever. All of their album covers are like that circle thing. So I was attracted to it, but I had to go for this. It just looked,
Well,
I've been meaning to read some.
I fully support you reading that, and it'll make you excited to read Dead Souls.
Yeah.
It's made me excited to read Dead Souls. Still haven't read Dead Souls
My
yet,
dad,
though.
I think, was just trying to read Dead Souls.
One of my favorite things about that book is how he describes how the characters come into being, how
So
they kind of materialize.
I can read it before I've read Dead Souls and get hyped up. It's
and
not
get
like
very
I'll be
hyped up.
lost.
What were you saying about your dad?
My dad called me. He's like, "Do you have our copy of Dead Souls? Because I want to read it." And I think they might have had their own. The copy of Gogol that I read, all the Gogol I've read out of, was one I got from like the discard pile at my school library in high school. But it didn't have. I don't think it had Dead Souls. It had Nevsky Prospect and The Nose. I did read.
And then this is another.
Nevsky Prospect.
This is a.
Sam got me that, and he's like, "Oh, I hope you don't already have this," and I didn't. So Sam got me Lathe of Heaven. He said, "Did you have this?" And I said, "No, I've been wanting to read this, so I'm going to read it." I lent him Planet of Exile.
Okay.
I wanted to lend him The Dispossessed, but I think I already lent my copy of The Dispossessed.
Now Amelia will know better than I do about like what's in the Hainish cycle, as if this is a Hainish.
I think
I don't even know if
Or
it's
this
part
is
of
a
it.
standalone.
It's a stay on the back.
Yeah.
In
Lathe
a
of Heaven-
future world racked by violence and environmental catastrophes, George Orr wakes up one day to discover that his dreams have the ability to alter reality.
Yeah.
He seeks help from Dr. William Haber, a psychiatrist who immediately grasps the power George wields. Soon, George must preserve reality itself, as Dr. Haber becomes adept at manipulating George's dreams for his own purposes.
I've heard this premise, and I'll admit I've never actually been super attracted to this premise, but
Of like
I'm sure-
dreams controlling life.
Yeah, I mean, it's very like, high concept.
It reminds me of the
sci-fi.
idea of the AI stuff where all the people are afraid
Oh,
that
the
AI is
yeah,
going
we
to
were
control
just
life.
talking about that.
Chat
yeah.
GPT stuff.
But I just
No,
have to
we're
say on
dark.
the record that I'm sure
okay.
I'm sure Le Guin pulls off this premise
I'm sure.
excellently, and it's a delightful.
I mean, look
book.
at
I'm
her.
excited.
I was gonna say something about the way in which one has always lent out the book that you most need to lend out
Exactly.
already.
Exactly. That's the
Yeah.
thing about them. The Dispossessed, I think, is a walker. I think that
Yeah.
one gets handed away quickly.
Totally.
Like, you gotta read this; it'll change you.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you might have read this one. Your copy is pretty. I gotta say, it's an example of a kind of sky cover that I kind of like. I mean, it's a little bit foreboding. Judging a book by its cover, I'm saying this is pretty. This looks pretty, but also sinister.
It looks fine to me. I mean, sci-fi books can end up with some pretty bad covers. And
Indeed.
she did
The one
okay.
that I read this in had a really pulpy cover with like a buff blue man on
Oh,
it.
that's great.
It was great. I wonder if we can find it.
This they always give you the 50s high intellectual cover.
Yes.
Incredible.
Ooh.
Then they give you
Was it this
the
one that you
The
read?
digital one. Yes,
That.
that's
Yeah.
the one. That's the one.
Oh wow!
He's
looks
all
a
he's all
gaunt
skin and
guy.
bones though. He's not buff.
That's
But
true.
I
I
can
was
see
sort
what
of
you would recall.
misremembering. There's a lot of texture.
It's got
When
like
dreams
it's got,
There's your
become
thumbnail.
reality.
it's got the Dianetics
There's your
volcano.
Yes.
The
I
R2
love
implant
reading
for
books
those.
in this kind of edition.
Yeah, for those who know, that's the R2 implant.
Oh.
Nice. I kind of
Go to the intellectual one. Yeah, there we go. Oh
That's
man,
a good
they used to
one.
get books
Wow.
and
They
covers.
used to make a book.
Yeah.
They used to know how to do this. See,
Look at the font.
and look at the
Yeah.
the box that the illustration is
And
in.
it's also, it
I can
evokes
just
and
see
like a
the
that.
bold
Freudian.
typography.
Yeah.
It evokes sort of like a hair doctor.
Yes. Yep.
The manipulative doctor.
Not to say that this is awful.
I can
No,
just
this
see
is
that
fine.
at a library sale.
That's
snap that up.
If you see, so if anybody sees this,
Buy
if any viewer of this channel has is seeing this cover and sees this book around, we all recommend you snap it up because it's a nice cover, and the book is good too. A couple of us.
Up to what price would we say? Up to 12?
I'd spend
16.
16?
Wow.
That's a lot.
I'm not. I already have a little copy of the book, a little paperback copy of the book. I
That's
don't
the
know.
first edition hardcover.
Okay.
You can tell it's hardcover from looking at the picture.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on how much coffee I've had before I'm at the sale and how juiced I am.
And how many other books you're buying.
How many other books I'm buying at the sale.
Because if you're buying one, spend it all on this.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've just been to some crazy stacked crazily stacked sales where it doesn't even there's a lot of other things and it's crazy. It's wild the things I'll pass up just because of the bounty of other things that are in my arms, and that's one of the luxuries of living in a city where they have things like the Newberry book sale. This is new to me. I'm being really loud.
It's new to me. It's Josh got me that. Josh, you just met. And he told me to read the first page, and I read the first page. It's about the artist who doesn't know what
epigraph is from Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Yeah.
That's from the start, right? That's from the earlier part of the play, right? Where they're playing games. And
Indeed.
Rosegill, and a coin. The long cut, one word. Weird.
Emily Hall has been a contributor to Artforum. Oh my gosh. Dalkey Archive.
It's a recent Dalkey
Recent
Archive.
Dalkey.
That is a good cover for a Dalkey.
It
Yeah,
really
that
is.
was Dalkey in
Are they upping their
disguise.
game? I hope not.
I'm pretty sure Dalkey is upping their game a little bit. I recently
Dalkey
purchased
Redivivis.
Emily Hall's book here is an example of this kind of wave of new Dalkey Archive books that look shockingly good. If you look up their kind of classics thingies,
Like the texture is different. It's not.
It's that soft thing. Yeah.
It's that water absorbent. Like
Oh,
if you
got it.
accidentally get this a little damp, it will repel the water, dry out just fine.
Yeah. See, that's nice. Oh wow. Eileen Miles calling out
liked it.
Hunger, which is a book that I really enjoyed that I read in college.
Hunger the.
See these things, these new I bought that Eros the Bittersweet, and it's just a really splendiferous copy.
Carson.
It's a softer stock, it's a softer feel even than this.
Ann Carson X Dalkey.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm gonna.
A man of principle.
Let's
and
go.
intellect in the public-
Graven images,
That website, Amelia.
So before we cut, we were looking at Dalkey Archive Essentials.
So we're-
And they
A
have
little
this new sort of like Russian constructivist cover style, which far cry from their what we normal. Oh wow, they have a lot.
Whoa, there's a million more than I.
And
than I-
it's
many.
Mulligan
Flannel
stew. It's like
Brian.
it's
they must
gonna
be filling out this list like.
Isn't that a
So-
guild?
Oh, pre-order!
Factory.
Look at all of these available for
Oh,
pre-order.
Oh, these are all new.
They're gearing up for a.
Well,
It's a
these are
rebrand.
Point
It's a
counterpoint.
And look,
cultural
they don't even
revolution.
have their old covers available to view.
I wouldn't either.
Full catalog. Yeah. Oh,
here
there
they-
we
now
go.
Here they are.
There you
That's
go.
what we think
That's
of
nice.
when we think of
That's, like, pretty
Dalkey
good for them.
Archive.
That's actually in the library, I think, in Madison. I might check that one out at some point. Aiden Higgins, I keep seeing those books around. I am a
Nest of
proud
Ninnies.
owner of that book. As anyone who's watched my video about my Ashbury collection knows, I'm a proud owner of a copy of Nest of Ninnies. It looks like it's pretty affordable. Oh wait, it's sold out. Sorry everybody.
It's so popular.
A sentimental novel. I've heard that's really gruesome.
Pour ourselves some tea.
We're gonna pour ourselves some tea, but I just wanted to say that this book sounds so good. The long cut, and I think anyone who gets this book for someone for a birthday must really want them to have kind of like an engrossing and unique experience, because it looks like it's about kind of some like a detective kind of thing that is way more vague than your. This is a birthday book.
Yeah, my mom got that for my birthday, actually, because I was over at your house in October 31st, I guess. And while we were cooking, we were reading food about the various ingredients we were cooking with, and I was
and
so.
he told me about the wonderful nostalgic experience.
Because I used to do that with my mom.
Oh.
And so I told his mother that she should get that for him for his birthday.
What does it do for each ingredient?
Tells you everything.
That is good
Waverly Root has
info.
this great voice.
There's your thumbnail. Lobster. Drawing by Sir John Tenniel. Did the illustrations for...
It was for Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
Wonderland, yeah.
This illustration. Just a good way to bring like a deeper sense of historical meaning to whatever you're cooking.
Okay, when I get back to Madison, I want to look through this book. And I want to, like, read a section of it, or maybe do, like, a video on a section of it. Peanut! I love peanuts. Make the peanut our national tree.
I love peanuts.
I
You know
really
where they
love
have
them.
the best peanuts? Costco.
Whoa!
You could use
Kirkland brand peanuts taste better than any other roasted peanut.
Just like roasted, unsalted, just has a good flavor to it?
Salted.
Salted, of course.
Virginia peanuts.
Mm.
I'll serve you some.
I want those. Oh my gosh, I really love peanuts. And I've been enjoying peanut butter more lately. I'm out of my slump on peanut butter. Book,
Do
it
an
looks like a
unveiling.
gorgeous book.
Disrobe it.
Whoa!
Put out some pistachios and pawpaw.
Nice!
The eBay bookseller write this card.
Yeah.
No way.
It was shipped to us directly from an eBay seller.
What did the
then
eBay
there's this
seller write?
card. What food is
That's
not
not-
edible?
That is not either of my parents'
Happy
handwriting.
birthday, Ben, from Mom and Dad.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so that's a seller going above and
And
beyond.
is it a riddle?
Look.
The answer to the riddle will be provided in the comments by some viewer.
You're in a
Shiitake,
very
shiny
recondite
nose.
stretch of food.
The general consensus seems to be that this book is very difficult to stop looking at. So this is another really, really good birthday book.
It's
I mean, like,
highly absorbing.
highly absorbing.
Veal. Is that a portrait of veal?
A still life?
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
The quarter.
Nice. I love a gruesome still life,
My
personally.
vegetarian friends love to rant about veal. I've heard some really, like... It makes you think. It makes you think.
Okay, we all saw this video.
And maybe not even just most veal, but the best veal.
So that book was returned.
The day that I saw No Bears was
Okay.
more like...
So we had this book checked out by Morley on January 19th, probably 2022. And it was just returned on February 3rd, 2023. Reading it. I'm on page
This pen is out of ink.
122. I was in a real reading slump, and this book has brought me out of it.
Yo!
I just read...
So shout out Charles Portis for getting people out of slumps.
I just read Norwood. I'm about to read Dog.
But this, you know, you think Charles Portis, you look at the book, it looks like it's a Western.
Yeah.
It looks like a very masculine book.
It is.
This is
Donna
a book.
Tartt.
This is a book for girls.
Ooh.
It's a masculine book for girls.
It's a
Now you have
masculine
my
book for
attention.
girls. It has an introduction by Donna Tartt. In the introduction by Donna Tartt, she talks about how she read this book, ate it up. Her grandmother and her mother, 3 generations of women in her family bonded over a love for this book.
Well, because it has that character. I mean,
It's through the perspective of a 14-year-old girl. I mean,
No, she's like an 80-year-old woman.
oh, like looking back?
well,
Oh, yeah.
yes, but it's in the book. People do not give it credence that a 14-year-old girl could leave home and go off in the wintertime to avenge her father's blood. But it did not seem so strange then. Although I will say, it did not happen every day.
That's such a funny way to end that sentence.
And
That's how you tell a story.
Donna Tartt said that when this book was out of print for a while.
Yeah.
And she and her mother would buy up copies of this book from used bookstores to loan it out because they were evangelical about this book.
Wow.
And then her mother even got desperate at one point and stole the copy from the library and said, "Oh, I lost it. It's gone," because it was out of print. And so Donna was very honored to introduce this edition by Bloomsbury.
I love it.
Because that was a birthday book.
We did food. We did.
We've talked about the
Orange.
peanuts. I'm rolling right now.
Peanuts. Okay.
We've talked about that. We've talked about the birthday books. We've talked about Sylvia Plath. We led with Sylvia Plath.
These are some books we got in free book boxes recently. I don't really know who the Goncourt are.
But when you see a
It's time for the free book box books.
No. Jeff Dyer is as Jeff Dyer does.
I don't know who that is.
Isn't he an Irish poet? Is he Irish?
Jeff Dyer.
I guess this book won't really tell me who he is. No, they sometimes have like about the writer.
Every time I see the name, I
Yeah.
think of that Auden book, The Dyer's Hand.
Jeff Dyer's book includes But Beautiful, a book about jazz. Oh, maybe I should read that.
So honestly, I'm super envious of this book.
Ian
When I
Forster
saw this,
Award.
this is exactly like this is a book I really want.
Yeah, so I was right.
This Goncourt one.
The Prix Goncourt is named for these guys who they spent most of their lives in Paris. They were at the center of the city's flourishing literary scene. The brothers were members of the Salon of Princess Mathilde, the niece of Napoleon III, and during the 1860s were regulars at the Dîner Mailly, bi-weekly gatherings of writers and scientists held at a Paris restaurant. They were the authors of novels, studies. One of them died. He continued to write till 1886, and then they founded the Académie Goncourt. Okay. Then that same book box had this classique abrégé of Les Contes de Monte Cristo. I don't know how you really say that in French. So this entertains me in the fantasy that I can teach myself French with this abridged edition.
Well, you know what that means, right? Pourquoi?
Pourquoi celle-là?
And you know je suis.
Je suis fâché de vous.
So you're halfway there.
Vous avoir dit dans une recherche et de vous avoir dit ce que je vous ai dit, fit-il. I am, or your searches, and vous avoir. For you to have said, do you speak French?
No.
I can read that. This was from
Ben's gonna learn to speak French and read that.
Schnitzler.
This is also a language learner book.
Pretty edition, yeah, auf Deutsch. Nun was, einen neuen Rock oder Ohrringe? About jewelry. Oh, it's about this guy who plays guitar. Yeah, Der Blinde Geronimo. He's a guitar player. It's like a bohemian guitar player book. You
And
can explain
the
that in 1
bookmark.
second. You can explain the bookmark in 1 second. I just want to read the first sentence and see if I understand.
Marbled paper.
Der Blinde Geronimo
Amelia and I made
stand
this
von
years
So
ago.
gorgeous.
der Bank
I like the back as well.
auf und nimm die Gitarre
You
zur
lay it in
Hand,
the
die auf dem Tisch neben dem Weinglas bereitgelegt war. Yeah, very bohemian image. You know, the blind Geronimo stood up from the bench and took the guitar in his hand. And it's got look at that, it's got a glossary.
It's got a glossary in the back.
So
does
clutch.
Bonk
So this
mean
is-
bench? I assumed Bonk meant bench.
I spent a long time looking at the book. It was very beautiful. Had a beautiful cover. It was like you know just
Wait
like
a second, this isn't the one I was going to give you.
stapled like this. It has a beautiful back. Published by DC Heath and Company. And keep in mind, folks, this was just found in a free book bin. So keep your eyes peeled. And also, you know, just a quick shout out to all the literature out there that is, you know, published so that people can learn a language. One of my most prized recent acquisitions in my own library is a book that was published so that people could learn English, you know. And no matter what language you're transposing yourself to, you're gonna find a nice book like this with nice illustrations and good simple sentences. Albert Camus, neither victims nor executioners. Don't recognize that house. Hyde Park Records, $2.99.
This was also an uncorrected page
World Without War.
that I got in a free book box.
Now, do you probably know who runs this publication, don't you?
I saw the address.
Ridgewood Court. That's where I love to park. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I love. It's such a central. When you go into Hyde Park, you park at Ridgewood Court. It's just such a good place to park.
Proofs from a free book box at the same time.
Now I recognize this.
And I said I was going to give you this one, but I pulled out this one because I associate them. I don't know if this is worth reading by anybody, really.
That's the spiciest thing we've ever had on a.
Maybe, I mean, I'm in no...
Nice watch, by the way.
I'm in no position to say because I haven't really tried to read it. Maybe,
Exactly, you don't know.
Maybe one of your viewers will know.
Has anyone read American Nightmare? If so, give us a little description of what your experience was like, and maybe link me to the video you've made on the topic, and we can hash this out, and maybe we'll read it.
But I thought
soon.
you might want this. This made me think of you because I think you had been reading Proust around the time that I found this, and I thought I would pick it up and see if you wanted it.
And I don't like to correct myself, and I'm not for sale. So basically, I love Proust, and I was like, I was probably somewhere in volume 3 when you were reading this. Wow, I feel like I'm talking so loud. Are these things from the zine?
Yeah,
Stack?
the zine shelf at either Quimby's or
Here you have a collection of zines,
zines and stuff friends have made, things like that.
issues of Censor, and so forth.
Things like that. I think are mostly things I bought at either Quimby's or Build Coffee. I think I got that at Quimby's.
I love Quimby's.
Mostly because the name. I won't comment too stridently on Quimby's on the record. Quimby's is good. It's pretty good. I got these things there. I got Prisoner's Inventions there.
Oh, goodness. Now, this kind of reminds me of the cover of The Meaning of Shakespeare, which we were reading on the way here. This is another gorgeous thing, and is this like more fiction? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think it's short. No, I don't know about that. I don't really know what that is.
This looks really up my alley. This reminds me of, just at a cursory glance, it reminds me of like My Life by Lynn Haginian, which I've been reading out loud, actually, and really loving.
The cover reminds me of the cover of that Kenneth Rexroth book.
Oh, I bought it because it has AACM stuff in it. This thing I just opened to it is about Phil Corin and Sun Ra and avant-garde creative music in Chicago. So, yeah, I had to get it.
And it's also, I mean, just like, I don't know, just in terms of like prose.
There's a Bandcamp link in the front cover.
Oh, let me film that. Let me film that Bandcamp link.
Supernova.
Do you know anything about this Amalgam? This new and selected
I
works?
actually read that whole thing. He's I think, West African, French
oh my gosh,
writer who's an active surrealist.
This is one of the coolest things I've seen all day.
And I mailed it to Hank to ask what he thinks, and he mailed it back, and he just said something like, "Yeah, I'm aware of this guy." Something like curt like that.
Interesting. This
I kind of liked it. Yeah.
This is the kind of thing I like to collect, to see something.
And does it have facing page French, or am I confusing it with something else?
It doesn't have facing page French, but it does have a reference
it had
here.
One. I think I bought it because I opened it to a random page, and it was.
Anne Waldman is someone that.
Oh, you're helping me out. Save space in my email. Thanks.
Anne Waldman is something that viewers of the channel know. I'm really fond of her. Prisoner's Inventions. What do you have to say about?
That's a terrific book. That's just a wonderful book. By.
Oh goodness.
He's that guy who has the same name as someone else, who runs that press. What's that press called too? I'm forgetting everything.
Half Letter Press?
Yeah, Half Letter. But the guy who runs it has like the same name as someone more famous. So I like
Joel Score?
Nah, it's like it's not I don't even know.
I wonder.
But it's a great book. Focus on the content of the book and I'll remember as we go.
So we have like a table of contents here for Prisoner's Inventions, which is a really nice book. Just want to say out of the gate. In 2001, wow.
Google who's the
This is
press guy.
fantabulous. And the sticker's probably still in
his
here.
His name is like Henry Rollins or something.
I have to read this, and I know people who are gonna love this. Did you have like a favorite section when you were reading Prisoner's Inventions? Were there any particular hot spots in this book?
I mean, the guy who's kind of their main prisoner, who they knew, who was telling them about the stuff they would invent.
Angelo?
Yeah. Yeah, they did the exhibition of recreated inventions at Mashmoka.
Jeez.
White Walls.
Half Letter Press is a publishing imprint and online
Mark
store
Fisher,
initiated
yeah.
by Temporary Services.
It's Mark Fisher with a C, as opposed to Mark Fisher, the English guy, which is just an H.
This is unbelievably cool.
Yeah. You would like Half Letter Press's other books. They have Childhood Homes of Guitarists. That's one of their good books you probably like.
Readers of Leafy Concern would really enjoy the many.
Everybody go check out Half Letter Press. And does anyone have any experience with books from Half Letter Press? Anyone who's made it this far in the video, which is on track to be one of. So everybody, this is a favorite haunt of mine. This table. I have written poems here on many an occasion. I've cleared a space and opened up my notebook and written a sonnet and a villanelle and all that kind of thing. This is a really kind of amazing collection of books. And what I want to do is come back and sort of take another close look at a different part of it, or different parts of it, and do more videos like this, where Ben's library guests. Of course, you see some leafy favorites there, and there are those Portis books that I pulled off earlier. And then people who are Nancy Drew heads might be interested in that. This is not. Do you know this John Dewey? Do you know the deal with this John Dewey?
Good old John Dewey.
Good old John Dewey.
Do you see this? Do you all see this Henry Adams section here? How much of this Henry Adams selection did you read, Ben?
Well, we're halfway through the education of Henry Adams.
And I'm in a reading
Loving it?
About Mont Saint-Michel and Chartres, which is actually behind you on the desk because I'm reading it right now. I actually have 2 editions of that. It's kind of funny.
It's the Doubleday Anchor with
Leonard Baskin.
One of these immortal Baskin Doubleday Anchor covers.
Lovely. Oh my gosh. And you're digging this a lot.
I mean, it's a funny book.
What's Henry Adams's deal? So reading, I've been told that.
He's of the Boston Adamses.
He's an Adams of the Adamses.
Okay.
Adams family.
So he.
But he's also his Henry.
Wow.
He's one of the
So
last
I
of
thought
the
this was
19th
such a
century,
gorgeous
one of the first of the 20th century.
copy of Salambo. This is a gorgeous copy of The Ambassadors. I just said that and then I turned on the camera and said it. This is sort of, I kind of want to do a little segment where, as kind of a reward for Leafy Concern viewers, I want to show just some of these that are so pretty. Yeah. I mean, come on. Favorite kind of imprint, and then just like one of the best examples. Holy heck! Margaret Cavendish, the Gospel of Cavendish is spreading, and you got the Blazing World and a different kind of Penguin edition from the one that I have. Look at this interesting Road to Wigan Pier.
For a future
Favorite
episode. Stay tuned.
So everyone, stay tuned. There are more videos to come, and I hope everybody enjoyed this one, and happy reading. All right, signing off.